Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, opera. What do you think of when you hear the word opera? What images pop into your head? A stage full of really fat women wearing helmets, brandishing spears, screaming their heads off over a huge orchestra. Or hot-blooded Italians ripping at their hair, beating at their breast, warbling to Kingdom Come. Or dull, old, crusty stories about dysfunctional families set to music by famous dead white guys. Well, that's right. That's opera. But what about the people that like opera? Opera goers are all snobs. Opera goers are all rich. Opera goers are all old. You only go to the opera if you can dress to impress. Opera's only for cultured people. Opera's only for people who understand something about opera. They're the only ones that can enjoy it, except they don't even understand what's going on because what's being sung up on stage is in a foreign language. And then there are those opera performances. They last so long. I don't know how those old rich people can stay awake, particularly since they don't know what's going on. There are a lot of misconceptions and stereotypes and caricatures about opera. And you know, that makes for a lot of fun for a Bugs Bunny cartoon or a Marx Brothers movie. But as an opera director and as an educator, what am I supposed to do with that? This idea, this impression that opera is a world only of fur coats and poodles, that it's only for stuffed, pretentious, crazy people like that. The ones we can all, the rest of us, just sit back and make fun of, right? Now, granted, we who produce opera, we need to dust off some cobwebs, and we need to get rid of the crumbling traditions that are still hanging around that don't do anybody any good. Let's face it, opera performance has got a lot of catching up to do in the 21st century. But what of opera as the art form? Is that worth caring for? Is that worth fighting for? Can we make a case for opera in 2012 and beyond? Well, let's think about it. Are the stories and the themes thought-provoking and topical? Are they moving? Are they disturbing? Are they controversial? Do they make us question who we are as a society, where we've been, where we are now, where we're going, and how we're getting there? Well, if we can deconstruct it, if we can take away all the unnecessary pomp and circumstance, take away all the spectacle, all the elephants, all the excess, at its heart, at its core, opera is about everything that's really wonderful and everything that's really lousy in human relationships. Opera is about our journey, our personal journey, and our collective journey as a people. The stories of opera deal with the powerful and the powerless, the haves and the have-nots, the 1% and the 99%, the makers and the takers. Call it what you will, depending on your point of view. Human rights, slavery, oppression, different cultures, ideologies, religion, unrequited love, the corruption of innocence, grave misunderstandings. Opera is about conflicts and consequences. It is about the abuse of power, and above all, it is about the redeeming qualities of love and forgiveness. In these stories, if they're told with clarity and humanity, we can see ourselves in these characters, even in their heightened circumstances. Then when you add some of the most powerful and breathtaking music ever written to the narrative, you've got something that doesn't just speak to the mind and the intellect, but it speaks deep to the heart and to the soul. deep in our souls. Is opera about us? Is it relevant in 2012? You bet it is. Now, there was a time when opera was extremely profitable. It was a great business. Everyone went to the opera. Operas were daring, they were explosive. They ignited unbelievable passion in the audiences. They were used as real weapons of political and social change. We have to rethink opera. We have to humanize it. We have to challenge audience expectations. We have to go against the grain, and we have to get it out of hiding, out from behind this curtain, out of this box, because it can no longer exist simply inside this box. I don't want to walk through the stage door some night and find this place empty. And one of the first challenges we face is to break the archaic delivery mode of opera. You hire a babysitter. You get dressed in your uncomfortable formal clothes. You get in the car and drive to the opera house. You fight for a parking place. You pay over $100 for a decent ticket. And then you're supposed to quietly sit for 3.5 or 4 hours, taking it all in, supposedly loving it. You get back in your car, you fight some more traffic, you drive home, you pay the babysitter. And then you find out that that piece of chocolate cake you hid in the back of the refrigerator for when you got home from the opera, the one you've been dreaming about all night, the babysitter ate it. There has to be another option. We have to give you another option. For opera to be opera, it does not have to be in a theater. We do not need a large orchestra. Opera can last 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It can be based on any story. If music dramaturgically drives the narrative, then it's opera. Several years ago, in partnership with SMU, the Dallas Opera asked me to write and direct a 30-minute show, an introduction to opera for young people. It's called Opera in a Box, Follow Your Dreams. The setting is very simple. It's set in a park. On the stage is a tall signpost. There are directional signs coming out that say prosperity, happiness, fulfillment, success. 4 young singing actors appear. Each is on a journey. Each has suitcases and hat boxes. And in a fun and entertaining way, they talk about opera. And they sing popular pieces from opera in English and Spanish while they pull colorful costumes and props out of their boxes, the suitcases. But more importantly, they share their personal life stories and how they got on this road to pursue a career in opera. They speak honestly and openly about their successes and their failures, what they're learning along the way, the obstacles they encounter, and how they deal with those in a creative and positive way. One young soprano speaks of growing up in a dilapidated shed in the Philippines with no electricity and no water. She got to eat ice cream once a year as a special treat. But she found direction in her life through her love of music, music she first encountered singing in the choir of the local Catholic church with her grandmother. A young Hispanic tenor from the Valley talks about the shame he encountered when his elementary school choir director called him out in front of everyone and said he was tone deaf and that he should never sing in public again. He talks about how he dealt with his doubts and his fears. I am very happy to tell you that both of these young artists are singing in major opera houses on their way to illustrious careers. Opera in a Box puts a face to opera, and it encourages young people to find what they're good at, what they love, and to seek out opportunities and experiences that will lead them on the road to success, to follow their dreams. Here at Meadows, we have a brown bag series. It's called Opera Free for All. We do one-act operas and scenes from musical theaters and operas. And we don't do them in this theater. We do them out in the lobby at 1 o'clock on Fridays several times during the semester. It's a very unexpected place at a very unexpected time to encounter opera. They're very relaxed and informal. People bring their lunches. People pass through on their way to another destination. They stop, they listen, they like, they stay. The Dallas Opera has a fantastic outreach program. Imagine seeing your first opera, Jack and the Beanstalk, at the age of 6 or 7. The Dallas Morning News writes this week, "Magic beans in an operatic voice. What kid could ask for more?" The Pagliacci Project in Austin culminates this fall in performances of scenes from Leoncavallo's renowned opera Pagliacci in English at the most unoperatic venues. Central Market, local bars, a Twin Liquors store, a UT Longhorn tailgate party, and it's free. Portland Opera invites local cartoonists to dress rehearsals. They come, they sketch, these go into the paper. People love it. They're pouring into the Opera House just to see what it's all about for themselves. Frequently, the back room at Freddy's Bar in Flatbush, Brooklyn, becomes opera on tap. They serve up opera arias and beer to a crowd that I promise you would not be allowed to walk the red carpet at the Metropolitan Opera House. Their motto, Viking helmets requested, but not necessary. Boston Lyric Opera recently staged Benjamin Britten's supernatural opera, The Turn of the Screw, at Park Plaza Castle off Boston Commons. It's a haunted house. We have to extend our reach. We have to be more creative and more out of the box. But there's so much more freedom out of the box than in it. Opera is coming out of a really stale period where we have done the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. I don't know how we got into that and got off track, but we're getting back on track. Opera is not a passive art to be viewed from afar. If you don't get up into its face, it's going to get up into yours because it needs you. It needs you to be an active partner, to join the performance and go on this journey together. So be warned. We are taking opera off its pedestal and taking it out into the trenches. We're going to be out there doing things differently in places that may surprise you. And if you stumble upon us, please, even for a moment, look with new eyes and listen with fresh ears and open your hearts to what Mozart, Verdi, Puccini, Wagner, Britten, and all the other great composers and librettists are saying to you. Hear their voices passed down through the continuum of time. You might find that opera has something to say to you, something that may challenge you and excite you and animate you and inspire you to walk out into our world, our ever-changing world, with more compassion, tolerance, forgiveness, and love. Please join us on the journey. Thank you.